One of the biggest stories that have come out of South African football over the past week is the story that our president, Yama 2000s, Rele Mofokeng, is wanted by Barcelona's B team, Barcelona Athletic, as they call it that side. This story has come that they're looking for him, they're scouting him, and they've asked people like Pablo Franco Martin, a Spaniard who had worked for him, Amazulu, was the head coach of Amazulu, was in the South African market, so they reached out to him to ask about this player, what he thinks of him, and allegedly Martin has given a glowing recommendation for Mofokeng to go over that side, which means that we might be seeing Mofokeng make the jump to Spain. Now, I want to clarify a few things about the B team, right? They don't have a reserve league that side, so they don't have a DDC type setup where it's those teams separately playing against themselves. They have more of an M Tigers and Sundowns type setup. I know that relationship is not there anymore, but it's the best comparison to make. They have an M Tigers, Mamelodi Sundowns type relationship where the reserve teams that side play in the lower league. So you have to be at least one league below the main one, right? And they're not allowed to play in the Copa del Rey. All of the teams have it. Osasuna, Celta Vigo, famously Real Madrid has Real Madrid Castilla. That is where coaches like Coach Zidane refined himself before getting that first team shot. It's produced a bunch of players, the Barcelona one. When we look at your Messis, your Yamals have come through that system. A bunch of players, especially when you transition from La Masia into the first team, usually those who aren't talented enough to go directly into the first team play in that in the B team in order for them to maybe prove that they can go into the first team. We've seen quite a few of them, Abo Pojane, Abo Pedro, and all those guys making it from that team into the first team. But yeah, also it's a place where, man, you can actually get some competition and play. Now, there's two ways to look at this story. The first way I'm gonna touch on is the more negative side, which is asking questions about the move itself. The obvious question is, if this team is taking part in the third division of Spain, what type of quality and development can happen there? How far is it away from an Orlando Pirates that's playing in the Champions League? Orlando Pirates can give Mofokeng first team minutes. But also, how does it compare to the other teams in Europe? So if you look at Campbell, who's playing in Belgium for Club Brugge's development team, Club Next, right? What does that difference look like? You know, how much bigger would it be for Mofokeng to be playing either for the reserve teams of others? If you look at England, for example, their reserve teams, their under-23s play frequently. They get a lot of exposure. You even get to play against some of the bigger players because as they recover and as they come back into the team, some of them are serving suspensions, you get to play and interact with those guys. So what is the difference there in going to a reserve league, say in England, for example? But also, what is the difference between Barcelona B and then if you look at a league like Portugal, if you look at a league like the Netherlands, if you look at some of those leagues where we've seen South African players go and be good and be great and get first team opportunities. For example, Percy Tau was playing for Club Brugge on his way to Brighton Hove. Brighton Hove had signed him, but part of his work permit things was that he had to play in Belgium. He got to play in the Champions League. He got to play for some of the top managers. Currently, the manager of Bayern Munich is Vincent Kompany, right? He got that type of exposure. Will you get that type of exposure from the third division in Spain, right? And also, is it not too late for him as a 20-year-old foreigner to be moving into the reserve side of Barcelona? Where when you get there, you've obviously got the guys who are established in that reserve side, maybe not good enough to make it into the first team, but they're good enough to be in that team and stay there. But then also, you are competing with La Masia graduates who are younger. Lamine Yamal got their chances in Athletic very young, 14, 15. Now you see where he's playing in the first team. Abu Messi, when they passed through these teams, you could see that they were ready far earlier. And if we believe that Mofokeng is not the finished article, if we believe that Mofokeng still needs some development and to learn things, does it help putting him in a situation where he's competing with youngsters who are maybe far along their development chain, number one, but then number two, are Spanish, We know about Catalans, we know about Catalonia, we know how they deal with these players and how they love their own. Is it a good environment to send Mofokeng in? That, of course, would be the more negative outlook on this story. The more positive outlook is...
Sorry to interrupt the video that I'm sure you're enjoying, but I just wanted to say thank you for all of the support that you guys have shown me and my Overthinking Football platform. I'm a one-man band that's doing all of this, and I really do enjoy the comments about how, you know, Supersport needs to come fetch me and SABC and all of that stuff. And I think it speaks to the quality of the content, but also the amount of effort that I put in. So I just wanted to say thank you. But the truth is that Abo Supersport and all of those guys, yes, we're competing with them, but it's a completely different place. The sponsors are looking for former players, and to be honest with you, running some of these things is getting so difficult, and things have changed at home. So financially, it's a whole different world. So I wanted to try something new and come to the overthinkers, the people who watch the content, and say it would be incredible if you guys could contribute monthly towards the platform, towards keeping my lights on, but also making sure that all of the crazy things that I want to do, that I want to take Supersport on with, I can actually do. And just for 20 Rand every month, I think that would be an incredible contribution if you can make it. It may sound like a little, but if we can get a lot of people behind it, then we'll be able to carry on doing what I do. I'll be able to carry on giving you the content and also expanding it, because we don't have shows like this, and us content creators need help from our audiences. So I just came here to ask you if you can. Here is the account number that you guys can use in order to contribute. And I think, yeah, I'd be very grateful if you would. But anyway, let's get back to the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Guys, if I am moving to Europe to go play in Europe, the steps in between me and a top league as a South African are so much. You look at Percy Tau and how many years it took him to even get back into the Brighton Hove team, or get into the Brighton Hove team. And by the time that was done, they had changed coaches, they didn't want him, and Chigi finds himself playing in Egypt. You've seen others going to Romania, others going to those type of countries and getting lost in all of that, in all of the, you know, the steps, the requirements for you to then try and make it into a top league from there. We've seen that happen. So maybe he bypasses all of this by going to the B team of one of the best teams in the world. Going to that B team, and maybe that is one step to get there instead of 7 steps to maybe sort of get there with the years that are ticking by. It also answers the question that if he is 20 years old, then maybe it is too late. Why would he go to Europe to go take 10 steps when maybe he's 3 away? Not to mention that, but imagine what this does for the people who are looking at you. If I'm playing for Barcelona's B team and I'm a star player there, I may not make it into Barcelona's A team, I may not make it to Real Madrid or whoever, but I may be taken by some of the smaller squads, some of the smaller teams that side, or Celta Vigo and those teams where Abo Payne played, Abo Celta Vigo, where I can play La Liga football maybe the following season. So maybe he's 21, he's playing La Liga football for a mid-table La Liga team. I think that is a very good jump, and that looks very good on Mofokeng going forward. Not to mention the fact that this is Barcelona B. So any chances of development will be heightened because you're playing for one of the best development teams, with the best development players, with the best development coaches and environment for a player to develop. And again, maybe he doesn't make it into the Barcelona A team, but where do you go? You can go very far from there. Imagine learning or having to be in an environment where you've got tiki-taka and all of those things, and the Johan Cruyff method and the history of Abo Pep and all of that feeds throughout that team. And you're able to get better and improve and learn. I think this could be an incredible move for Mofokeng, but him and his representatives will have to sit down and assess. There were rumors of Abo Wolves, which would be a similar-ish situation in a bigger league, in a bigger league that has more opportunities. You know, the championship is far different to the 3rd division or the 2nd division in Spain. Playing for a lesser team like Wolves in the English Premiership is already an incredible step that you could take and actually be even further up the chain, right? In terms of opportunities, in terms of teams looking at you, in terms of growth. So that's going to be a very interesting thing with Mofokeng. But I'll tell you more as the story develops. Hopefully he gets his move, man. You don't want him to be stuck here, grow a big head, become complacent, maybe not improve as he would have, and then finally hit the ground running when his Tembas Wane's age or Tito's age, you know, when they started getting things running. So let's see how that's going to pan out for him. Like I say, the earlier the move, the better for the boys, because even if you fail, rather you fail as a 22-year-old who still has a career in front of him than to hedge your bets, and now you're playing in Israel. No disrespect to Israel, but now you're playing in those type of countries where you're not going to get chances to go further. So that is the Mofokeng story.